What's up, Guardians? So cross save was supposed to launch like an hour and 15 minutes ago, but it got delayed. So instead of setting up my cross save, which I expected to do all morning, I'm going to be working on this Destiny 2 Director's Cut Part 2 video instead. So let me just start off by saying that Director's Cut Part 2 was probably the least interesting information from Luke, mainly because we got a stream prior to the Director's Cut release that told us a lot of the stuff in this Director's Cut about specifically Armor 2.0. That being said, on this channel I haven't really talked about Armor 2.0 that much since all the information about it came out, so I'm going to use this video here as a way to give both the actual information about Armor 2.0 as well as give my own, I guess, I don't know, ideas and opinions about Armor 2.0. This section of the Director's Cut was titled "The Care and Feeding of the RPG, Adding Depth and Improve Customization." And basically, he just wants to talk about Armor 2.0 and how he wants players to have more opportunities and more ability to control their min-maxing, where in today's current game, it's actually really annoying to try and chase certain armor perks and certain armor rolls. So the main things about Armor 2.0, let's just get right into it. Now the armor system, all armor is going to be turned into this Armor 2.0 system. And Armor 2.0 system is basically no longer are you masterworking your gear, you're increasing its energy points up to a total of 10 energy points. And then you can slot mods into your gear based on the number of energy points and based on the number of points each mod costs. So for example, enhanced hand cannon reloader, for example, I know costs around 6 to 7 points in terms of energy. So when you slot that in, you only have another 4 points to work with. Where other perks like mobility, resilience, and things like that, those would cost a low number of energy. Basically, he wants players to be able to min-max as much as possible and create really cool builds out of this, while also being able to do it on all armor from Destiny. So, Eververse armor is going to be created into this ornament system, where players are going to be able to they're going to be universal ornaments, so they can put their Eververse gear on any armor set, as well as all current armor sets in the game are going to be shifted to this 2.0 system. So if, let's say, for example, you want the Titan Escalation Protocol armor, you're going to be able to go grind out Escalation Protocol, earn the armor from Escalation Protocol, and that those armor drops are going to be 2.0 drops. So the energy system overall is very good because you're going to be able to customize your build. However, there are some controversies surrounding it, particularly that armor rolls with elements now. So you can have an armor piece randomly roll either Solar, Arc, or Void, and certain mods only work with particular burns, particular elements. So for example, a fusion rifle reserves mod may only work with the solar element. So when you want to put that fusion rifle reserve mod on your chest piece in this example, your chest piece has to be rolled with a solar energy. And that essentially means that other weapon reserve perks you won't be able to put on that armor because those mods don't work with solar energy. So you're going to need to farm out armor sets. You're going to need to farm out a bunch of different armor with a bunch of different energies. And it also sadly means certain builds aren't accomplished. You won't be able to accomplish certain things within a build. So most mods in the game have a kind of generic version of the mod, whether that be targeting or reloader or things like that, where those mods don't have a certain energy affiliation. However, they work just as well as the mods that do have an energy affiliation. So, for example, there may be a mod that works for targeting for a bunch of different weapons, like hand cannons, pulse rifles, things like that, like small arms precision targeting or something, where it's like hand cannons, SMGs, other things like that. And that mod may cost you around 4 points in terms of energy. But then there's also going to be a mod that aligns with a certain element, for example, a void element mod that works specifically for hand cannon targeting. The two mods do the same thing in terms of the quality of the targeting. However, the void mod costs a few less points, or 1 or 2 less points, because it's specific to hand cannons and specific to a single energy. So for the most part, your builds are going to be fine, and you're going to be able to diversify your builds using these generic mods. However, there are some concerns where we go back to like the reserves example. If, for example, a fusion, you want to run a sniper and a fusion, but only the chest piece can carry reserve ammo, you're going to have to pick, do I want fusion reserves or do I want sniper rifle reserves? So things like that are going to limit you, which is kind of upsetting because you can currently do that type of thing in the current sandbox because of the way perks are set up throughout the system. So you can get sniper rifle reserves in your mark or your bond or your cape, or you can, and then you can put fusion rifle reserves in your chest plate. So those types of things aren't going to be possible, but overall this is a really good system because it really lets you min-max without having to go through the awful just RNG grind. And it also lets you choose the way you want to look. So you can pick any armor set in the game that you like and then just chase that armor set for the energy rolls you want. So that's all really good. The next section, he talks about armor migration, and this is basically how players are going to react to Armor 2.0 and work their way into Armor 2.0. Luke Smith basically says that your old armor shouldn't be made useless and shouldn't be made terrible because of the new system, and that if you have, for example, a god rolled armor setup currently in the game, you may not transfer over to Armor 2.0 as quickly, for example, as a player who hasn't really farmed a whole lot of armor. They're going to join Armor 2.0 much quicker. So he actually thinks that for the world's first raid, most people are actually going to be wearing Year 2 armor, which isn't surprising. And he also, this also sounds like players with multiple characters, maybe your alternates transfer over to Armor 2.0 much quicker than your main. I know like my Warlock has some really good armor setups with enhanced hand cannon targeting, some shotgun scavengers and things like that. So I may not transfer over quickly with my Warlock. However, I know for a fact my Hunter and my Titan don't have those types of armor sets, and they'll transfer over to Armor 2.0 much quicker. So overall, they don't want to make it so that your armor from Year 2 is completely useless. However, you're going to want to transfer over eventually because you're going to want to get those stat rolls, especially in Intellect, Discipline, and Strength, so that you can increase those stats higher. Because currently, basically, the armor sets you have now are all set to 30 points on a scale, 30 points on a scale of what is essentially 100. So every 10 points you earn from 0 to 100 decreases your cooldowns on certain things like your melee, your grenade, and your super. And your base armor from Year 2 is at currently roughly 30 points. So if you want to increase those quicker, you're going to want to farm some of this like randomly rolled year Armor 2.0 that could roll with a lot higher disciplines or roll with a lot higher intellect. So that's all pretty interesting. I think it's overall really good. I think eventually everyone should shift over to Armor 2.0, and those are all over my thoughts. I'm probably going to shift relatively quickly just because I want to mess around with a lot of builds and a lot of min-maxing type things. The next section talks specifically about powerful sources and our player power, as well as how we're going to earn powerful drops throughout the game. It's just a lot of information that players should know, but there's not really much to comment on here. For one, Prime Engrams will only drop once you've hit 900. The idea behind this is that you don't need those massive power buffs at the beginning of like Shadowkeep's campaign and things like that. So they're going to basically you're going to be able to store those prime attunements for later on once you've hit 900 and those powerful drops really become meaningful. Because I assume 900 is kind of going to be the soft cap. 950 is a different cap. And then beyond 950 is a little bit different, which we'll get into in here in a second. For world drops should have a chance of dropping at your current light level. It's not guaranteed to drop at your current light level. However, you could have a world drop at the light level you want. And a world drop is essentially a random legendary engram or something like that, or just a legendary from the end of a Crucible match. It's just not a powerful drop, it's a random drop that happens. And those being dropped at your current light level seems relatively smart. It's kind of silly that they don't always drop at your current light level, because the min-maxing that one can do there when they're power leveling is kind of ridiculous. Like, for example, if a person only needs a pair of boots and tries farming world drops for a pair of boots, it could take them hours to get that boot to finally drop. So it seems kind of silly that's just not at the current power level, just to avoid that type of power leveling for that min-max power leveling for the raid. The next thing is when Shadowkeep drops, every item in the game you currently have will be bumped up to 750 light. Everyone will get 750 light drops. So 750 light will be basically the minimum power now everyone is. When you come into Shadowkeep for new light, you're going to have 750 drops. And all of your stuff in your vault and things like that will be bumped up to 750. The only thing that this means coming to mind is that the AFK farm in the Forge basically won't happen anymore, because you won't be able to do like a low power. You won't be able to go below 750 in terms of your power level, meaning that you're going to match with people who actually want to do the activity versus AFK farm. So you're probably going to have to like LFG for AFK farming now, which is kind of silly. Last section is called More Power, More Problems, and it basically highlights the history of power and light level over the course of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and how there have been major changes to how important that power level is to the players, even though at the entire time it's an extremely important part of the actual in-game combat, so your power level really does affect your damage and your defenses. And overall, there are going to be some changes to the amount of powerful drops in the open world, and they're also adding the seasonal artifact to the game, where as you play the game, your artifact levels up, giving you XP, and that'll increase your power level, as well as give you access to some really cool mods. For example, one of them we saw in Gamescom was the Heavy Hitter mod, which basically, when you do a finisher on an enemy, it drops heavy ammo for your entire team. However, you also lose half of your super. You have to use half your super in order to drop the heavy ammo with it. So there's going to be some really cool mods coming with the artifact. It sounds like these mods are seasonal mods, which probably means they go away at the end of the season and are replaced with a whole new set of them. So there's always something to grind, and these seasonal mods look really cool and look like they can create some really awesome builds. Finally, for the power levels things, so 900 sounds like the soft cap, and then 950 is like your power level cap. However, after that, there is an infinite amount of power you can earn through XP from your artifact, as well as doing what they call pinnacle activities, which in my mind include, which I think he says here, include Iron Banner, raids, and then what he said was redacted, so some sort of new activity coming with Shadowkeep. So yeah, there is an unlimited amount of power that you can earn, essentially, and I don't know if it gets reset with the artifact in a new season. However, it's pretty cool that Bungie's going into this kind of unlimited power. It's something I always thought the game should try and do, and then in my mind, I always thought that you could add quests when people hit a certain number as they climb this unlimited, basically branch into more exotic quests and things like that. But we'll have to wait for another day for that to come. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in another video.